Hey everybody, M.V.K here, coming to you again. How's everybody doing out there? I haven't done these videos in a while. Characters I like and why. But I'm back to deliver two characters. Starting with this guy right here. Yeah, Moon Knight. Marc Spector. Yeah, Marc Spector. Some people say he's a Batman clone. I don't buy it. Don't buy into that. They're nothing alike. Marc Spector, aka Moon Knight, first appeared in Werewolf by Night number 32. He was created by Doug Moench and Don Perlin. And Marc's past before he became Moon Knight, he was the son of a rabbi. But he was kind of like Werewood. He was never really around too much. And believe it or not, guys, he's born in Chicago. See, so not every Marvel hero is from New York. Marc was born in Chicago, Illinois. As an adult, when he got older, he spent some time as a heavyweight boxer. He was a U.S. Marine, and then later on, he became a mercenary. As a mercenary, that's where he met his best friend and kind of the guy who would pilot all his various flying machines, like the Crescent Moon plane or his choppers and stuff like that. A French pilot named Jean-Paul Duchamp, and which he just called Frenchie. And they would work together for a while, and that's where they met one of Marc's. They started to work later with one of Marc's arch enemies, who would become one of his arch enemies, an African mercenary known as Raoul Bushman. And that's when they worked in Egypt. When they were in Egypt, basically, when they paired up with Bushman, they worked together. They stumbled upon an archaeological dig, and that's where they met Dr. Alron and Dr. Peter Alron, and his daughter Marlene, who would become Marc's love interest. And Bushman felt like, you know what? Because they dug up like jewels and stuff like that, and also a statue of the Egyptian god Khonshu. So Bushman was like, we should loot these guys, loot them. They didn't want to. Marc and Frenchie didn't want to, so they didn't. But Bushman did, and he killed Marlene's father and took her. Marc chased him down and basically told Bushman, you and me, one-on-one, man-to-man, to the finish. Bushman was a lot better than Marc at this time, and he nearly killed Marc. He almost beat him to death, and left him to die in the desert. And as everybody knows, when it gets night in the desert, it gets really cold, sometimes as well as sub-zero temperature. And that wasn't doing anything for Marc. Marc was found by like nomad people that basically still worship the Egyptian gods. They took him to a temple of Khonshu. Marc died there. That's where he died. However, Khonshu came to him in a vision and gave Marc a second chance of life. So basically, Marc was resurrected back to life. He died. He was brought back to life, and and that's where I like characters like that. They got a second chance by divine intervention. There we go. And Marc still wanted to go after Bushman because he still had Marlene. So he took the cloth that was on the Khonshu statue, and he wrapped it around him and went after Marlene. He defeated Bushman. He took Bushman. He beat Bushman, He took Marlene and Frenchie and the Khonshu statue back to America with him. And that's where he pretty much set up to become the Moon Knight. And because of that, during that time, Marc actually took on other personas for different areas of the of his life. To distance himself away from his mercenary life, Mark he invested a lot of his fortune that he had when he was a mercenary into a small fortune, and he took that and basically became the millionaire entrepreneur known as Stephen Grant. So that was his way of staying in high society and stuff like that, and buying estates and things like that. And then to stay in quote unquote the streets and stay with the average Joes in a criminal element, he took on a persona as a local cab driver known as Jack Lockley. And when he was with the cab driver persona, Lockley had a lot of allies for himself as well. And so that's where you can kind of see the Batman persona. Batman is a master of disguise as well, and matches Malone and everybody like that he has. You can see where that comes in. Okay, and that's pretty much how he would do it. For all those that didn't know, people who not really familiar with Moon Knight. Moon Knight did have powers. He did have powers, and he was granted superhuman powers from the Egyptian god Khonshu. Khonshu is the Egyptian god of the moon and vengeance. So he would gain super strength, endurance, reflexes. It would depend on the moon phase. So if it was a crescent moon, he would get some strength, but not a lot. But half moon, quarter moon, that. But at a full moon, he was at peak strength. He also, is good at like martial arts and things like that, as well as hand-to-hand. I just said martial arts, as well as various weapons like the moon shurikens, his nunchucks. He's a staff, as well as a weapon that probably not too many people know of, but it's a weapon known as a. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, but and I should, because it's a weapon known as a truncheon. It's basically, it looks like a bow staff, but it can separate into 4 quarter pieces, and you can use one part to swing. If anybody ever seen the movie Fearless with Jet Li, the last fight scene in the movie, the weapon he was using, that's what Moon Knight can wield as well. Moon Knight has been part of many teams over the years, as well as been allies to many various Marvel heroes. For example, he's been a part of the West Coast Avengers. He's been, once an Avenger, always an Avenger. He's now on. He can now be found in books like The Secret Avengers and Heroes for Hire. Because Moon Knight's still trying to redeem himself in some way, because he doesn't like Khonshu anymore. Khonshu turned his back on him. Because at some point, Khonshu actually was taking control of his body when he was known as the Fist of Khonshu. And he didn't like that. He definitely doesn't like Khonshu anymore, because Khonshu has chosen a new avatar in the form of Mark's brother, Randall Spector. And he's known as Shadow Knight. So that's kind of a glitch on. That's another reason why Mark doesn't like Khonshu. But it's very good. Moon Knight is a very, very intense and very diverse character, and you can kind of see the remnants of Batman. And that's the curse of being Batman. Batman, if you got a cloak, and you got a dark persona of being feared and things like that, you're gonna have that many of those people saying, "Oh, he's just a Batman clone." But like I said, personality wise and things like that, they're nothing alike. Bruce won't kill. Mark will. Mark will kill you. If he feels you as a threat, he will kill you. Have they both had partners? Yes. Have some of their partners turned on them? Yes. Bruce has had Jason Todd. What is Jason Todd now? He's pretty much anti-social villain, or however you want to classify him. Mark has had a sidekick of his own. Midnight. Midnight was turned on him. He's now a cyborg, and he was Moon Knight's partner. So you can see some personas of that being, basically classified as being alike. But he's just a very diverse character, and I'm glad to say this because I know there are a lot of Moon Knight fans out there, very beloved. Come this May, Moon Knight will be relaunched. Marvel will relaunch an ongoing series for him, and I've collected all the Moon Knight series, so I even collected the short-lived Vengeance of Moonlight series, which when he returned back to New York after Norman kind of was it was before Norman's reign started to plummet. But this series will be written by Brian Michael Bendis and Alex Maleev. They're going to be doing this. This is who's going to be doing this series. This series, from what I've heard, is Brian saying that Mr. Bendis has said that it's going to be involving Moon Knight going to LA a lot in this series. So we're not going to just see him on the East Coast, but also on the West Coast and things like that. But I'm glad. That'll be in May, and it'll also be a part of the whole big shot trio, which I'm also going to do a video on sometime. The big shot trio, meaning basically Moon Knight in May. I think Daredevil will be relaunched in July, and The Punisher. So that's going to be cool that's, in my opinion, that's cool. But that's all I wanted to tell you guys, and that's a reason why I like Moon Knight. Moon Knight is just a very diverse character. I like characters that their origin or just their past or their character is into that they owe themselves to divine intervention by a godlike being or something like that. And there are a lot of characters like that in comic books today, and Moon Knight's one of them. Why I like him so much. He is one of my top 10 Marvel heroes. Is he a badass? Yes. Will he kill you if he needs to? Yes, he will. But he's also on that road of redemption to redeem himself, no matter how long it takes. And that's kind of why he joined the Secret Avengers as well. Because Steve sees something in Mark that I think Mark doesn't see in himself. And it's just good to see that he's still in the spotlight that he is. Would I like to see a movie of Moon Knight? Yes. His origin would be a great movie. You could tell a great story behind his origin and how he becomes Moon Knight. But once again, it's the problem of would he get over by the non-comic fans that don't know him, than the people that do know him, and the non-people that don't know him are just going to say, oh, he's just a Batman clone right off the bat, instead of really getting into his character. I'm just saying. But I would love to see him not just in a live action movie, but an animated movie, someplace animated. I don't care. Just put him in other medias besides comics. But that's number one. This is the first guy that I'm going to do, and I'll be back with the next person. But other than that, guys, this is M.V.K Kid telling you stay tuned, and I will be back with the next character, I should say. But tell me if you like Moon Knight, people.